What do you think is the worst Batman movie of all time? I have a candidate for you. My name is Adam. Welcome to DC Doom, the series where I watch and review every single movie and television series based on DC, on the way to becoming the most prolific reviewer of all time. So, I watched Batman Forever starring Val Kilmer as Batman, Chris O'Donnell as Robin, and Nicole Kidman as the love interest whose name I don't remember, Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, and Jim Carrey as the Riddler. So this is a movie that came along after, of course, Batman from 1989 and Batman Returns from 1992. So this is the first one where I really understood as a child the whole marketing concept of Batman and why they were choosing different actors to star in it rather than, oh, it's a movie, that's interesting. And of course, Joe Schumacher directed it rather than Tim Burton. So, to recap my own feelings about the Burton films, I think the first one was great, and I think the second one is horrible because I don't like the character of Penguin. At least Burton's interpretation of that character, and that ruined the whole movie. And if the character had focused on Catwoman, Selena Kyle, that would have been excellent. So, why is this Batman so bad in comparison to the other three that I've watched for this channel, which are the Batman movie from 1966, based on the Campy TV series, Batman from 1989, and Batman Returns? So I think all of those movies, with the exception of maybe the one from 1989, they all have various flaws, but they're enjoyable in some way. This movie feels so commercial and flat and boring. Just from the beginning of the movie to the end, you get this feeling that everything has been done in this movie to make it a commercial success. They revamped the look of the Batmobile to sell toys, even though this theoretically is supposed to be the same Batman from the Burton films, as Tim Burton appears as a producer in this film. So, yeah, it's incredibly boring and not very interesting. There's not really much of a plot, and the main characters don't have any motivation. The villains also lack motivation, or at least their motivation is not very good. So, the motivation of Two-Face is that Two-Face wants to kill Batman because Batman failed to prevent a mobster from splashing his face with acid. And the Riddler wants to kill Bruce Wayne and later Batman because Wayne said that his idea was not safe, which it wasn't. Um, so he invented some kind of brain ray technology that looks really goofy in the movie. So those are the motivations of the villains. Yeah, so technically they do have motivations, but I don't know. It doesn't seem very strong. It doesn't seem very convincing to me. And Nicole Kidman, I think, does an okay job in this, but she's really not given anything to work with. And people say that a lot in movie reviews, but this is true. And I think the one problem I had with the 1989 version of Batman was that Kim Basinger's character wasn't very interesting, right? It's just, oh, she loves Batman. Oh, she loves Bruce. What a dilemma. And that's exactly the same kind of one note thing that they're going for in this movie. But I think that Basinger does a better job because she's given more to work with in the movie because she interacts more with Joker. Kidman in this doesn't interact mostly at all with the villains. So I think apart from the fact that it was boring and it was a cash grab, I think the major problem of the movie is twofold, right? You see what I did there? The first problem is that it's directed towards children, and I'm not saying you can't make a good superhero movie that's directed towards children, because of course you can. Like, I think the 89 one was dark, but still children could enjoy it. But this one, it's still dark, but like everything is over the top. The special effects are over the top. The car is over the top. Chris O'Donnell as Robin is wearing an earring, you know? Like, it's really trying to make Batman cool. And Batman has cool technology, but he doesn't have the cool technology because he's trying to look cool. Um, it's this whole like image thing that they're going for. Like Batman is cool because he's got this cool image. So yeah, it doesn't work because it just doesn't work. I don't think any child would actually like this. It's directed towards children, but children actually appreciate plots and stories and characters and all of that. So I think that children wouldn't like this movie actually. The other problem, and I actually think it's a big problem, is that Tommy Lee Jones plays Two-Face in a completely over-the-top way, and Jim Carrey plays the Riddler in a completely over-the-top way. So you basically have two similar villains with similar personalities inhabiting the same movie. And as much as I didn't like the Penguin arc in Batman Returns, it's a lot better because Catwoman and Penguin, even though they share animal names, they're completely different, right? And I think that Two-Face and the Riddler are different kinds of villains as well, if you look in the source material, but they both do in the movie this sort of over the top hysterical thing. And I think it's kind of sad because Jim Carrey was at the height of his comedic powers when he was the Riddler. And the same thing with Tommy Lee Jones. They were both at the top of their professions. That's why they were hired. But I think that maybe, and I guess I heard some kind of rumor about this, that Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey didn't really get along well in this production. And I think it's mainly because they're playing the same character, right? And I don't know if that's direction or acting choices. I think maybe direction. Like the director should have said, like, you got to do it differently, one of you. And I think that Jim Carrey would actually do a much better job of the Joker as the Joker now than he would have done back then, because it wouldn't be so over the top and goofy. It'd have a little bit of darkness in it. Yeah, and there'd be a little bit of, pathos involved in the portrayal. So the main sin of the movie is that it's just boring, right? It's boring and it doesn't work. Even though it has all of these things like Robin's character being introduced and Two-Face and Riddler. So it's quite boring. I wouldn't recommend it. It's so good, it's bad. And I think it's not a tragedy because I don't see how they could have saved this movie. I do think Val Kilmer does a great job at being Batman, surprisingly. I mean, maybe not a great job. He has an interesting performance as Bruce Wayne, right? It's completely different from Michael Keaton. It's a bit more subtle. It's not wild and over the top. And not that Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne is over the top, at least there are moments. I think that they're both crazy in different ways. Maybe that's the easiest way to put it. Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne is sort of like calm on the outside, and then there's a duck furiously paddling underneath, kind of that image. You get the feeling that Val Kilmer's version of Bruce Wayne, is emotionally fragile, much more than Keaton's is. He's repressed more than Keaton's version, and that makes him more interesting and more dangerous. But not in this movie, because nothing happens in this movie. So yeah, I'm going to give this a 1 out of 10, a very rare mark on this channel. So yeah, 1 out of 10 is my rating. If you like what I do, please subscribe to the channel. Please like this video, leave a comment. I'm trying to become the world's most prolific reviewer. So I don't need you to subscribe to the channel to do that, but it definitely helps. Thank you. Bye-bye.